Hey, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to break down how I plan on taking a $10.5 million per year e-commerce business. Okay, that's the sales. Those are the sales that they're doing online on their e-commerce Shopify store, and how I plan on transforming the business from a $10 million a year business to a 18, 19, $20 million a year business within the next 15 to 18 months, okay? So, or less, right, hopefully. So this is gonna be a very kind of in-depth video. I'm gonna bring you through kind of their infrastructure and why they're doing so well. I mean, depending on what you consider to be well. But I'm gonna bring you through what they're doing, what I think they should be doing, what their bottlenecks are. Of course, I cannot disguise the brand for obvious NDA reasons, right? But I can give you some detail and some background about what they're doing, some problems that they're facing, and how I think the problems should be solved, and what we plan on doing exactly step by step. Okay, so with no further ado, let's get right into the video and let's just get started. So as you can see, this is the account. Let me just refresh as usual so you know this is real. In the last 12 months, they generated approximately $10.5 million, as you can see here. And so they're doing quite well. And now, as you can see, they're kind of struggling with growth. The last year was exactly the same. And if you don't know, I mean, you should expect to grow at least 10% a year, right? Because after inflation and after all the other things that are complicated in this world, you're actually not growing. Like it's actually a bottleneck. Even if you grow by 5%, it's not enough to even keep up with inflation and other things, right, in the market and in the world. So they're not doing too good when it comes to year-over-year growth. But we are going to talk about the business in general right now, and I'm going to give you pretty much a game plan. I also have a couple softwares that I want to show you that are absolutely detrimental and really important to the strategies that the creative strategies that I want to implement with them. So make sure to stick around till the end. But let me just switch screen. Cool. So how do we plan on growing this business from $10 million a year to $20 million a year in, like, I would say realistically 12 to 18 months, right? That is the approximate time frame, right? So this is pretty much their business. Let me just break down what they're doing right now. They're doing around $10 million a year in revenue, and of which 2 million of that approximately, of course, like take these numbers with a grain of salt. Some of them may be like plus or minus, of course, but approximately they're doing $2 million in like organic search. They're a pretty well established brand, so they're getting around, I would say 15 to 20% of their sales just purely organically through their Instagram, through their just word of mouth and stuff like that. Then I would say Google attributed revenue is around like $5.5 million a year, right? They're doing quite good there. And Meta attributed revenue is only $500,000 a month. And then email marketing is around $2 million a year in revenue. So they're not doing bad. They're not doing good. They're doing around 20%, which is, at this scale is kind of like standard. And now let's talk about the opportunities that I see that should be improved when it comes to this model and their percentages in terms of proportions. And especially because, $10 million. And you probably all know that I run a marketing company, and we really specialize in social media and scaling social media channels, and also Google, but like mostly social media. And so if I see like only 5% of revenue is coming from social, then it's an alarming factor for me. It means that the company should spend more. Okay, and so these are just some opportunities that I'm going to list with you as I was thinking and reflecting with my team. So number one, email marketing. They have some missing flows. No clear campaign calendar structure. So once again, guys, if you're doing email marketing, you should expect at least 25%, possibly we're aiming for 30% of revenue coming from email. And this is only possible if you send enough emails, if you have the right infrastructure. If you haven't seen my email marketing video, make sure to go ahead and check that, because I bring you through the entire email marketing infrastructure, all the flows, all the campaigns. So what they're doing now is decent. It's working. I do have to say they have good open rates, but like 50, 60%. So that's very good. But they're not sending enough emails. And what I have to say here very clearly is that a lot of people think that by sending more emails, you're just spamming more, and you're gonna eventually, your domains are gonna get buried into the dark web, right? And so it's not how it works. If you send very good emails, quality emails, branded emails, value-based emails, it's actually the opposite. People can't wait to open your emails. So we're going to take this approach. We're going to start probably doubling the amount of emails that we send, and at the same time we're going to add so much more segmentation to their flows to make sure that we're getting to that 25, at least 30%, I would say reasonable, of revenue coming from email. Okay, so this is the first opportunity. Number two, and by the way, like this video, it's just me brainstorming on how, based on my experience, how I would audit a business, so that you can maybe do the same for you and understand the thought process behind auditing opportunities, how to think, right? Business-wise, right? Meta ads, now they spent on average $17,000 per month just in the last 12 months. So that is a red flag because they're not really spending enough. And I know that their ROI isn't crazy. It's like around 2, but it's around 2 probably because they don't have enough of a creative infrastructure. And as you guys know from my YouTube videos, if you've seen my YouTube videos in the past, if you don't have enough, if you're spending 15K and you have a 15K per month creative input, that's all you're going to get, right? So to get to the next 15 or if you want to get to 50, 100, $200,000 a month in spend, you have to make sure that you're really preparing the infrastructure from a creative perspective, right? Which is what we want to do in this client. And I'm going to talk about specific strategies on how I plan on doing that and solving this problem, right? So we're planning on going from 17 to like hopefully $100,000 in spend at around a 2x return, if that is possible. And one thing to consider here is that 2x is great, but we could actually also aim for 1.5 because their margins are very good. They're around like 75%, more closer sometimes to 80%. But they have like this kind of marketing principle or method where they sell samples, and every 4 or 5 people that get a sample, they receive like a bigger order, right? Which is essentially like I believe it's around $400 to $600. So they're doing like some mid-ticket, low-ticket, but also like higher ticket. So this is kind of like their model. And so like there's opportunity to like spend more at like slightly a lower ROI. We don't need like a 10x ROI to make this work, okay? So this is one thing here. We got to spend more, and it's very attainable. Like 1.5, 1.7, 2x return with $100,000 in ad spend is like very, 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 very attainable. We've done way past that as well. So adding platforms is also something that they're not really doing. We want to add platforms like Pinterest, TikTok, Snapchat, Bing ads. Sometimes they work well. So what we want to do is create a very strong omnipresent channel, right? And sometimes you might be surprised, and we actually have a case study that we were spending around $120,000, $130,000 a month in just social media on Meta, and we started spending an extra $10,000 to $15,000. So I would say around 10 to 15% in additional spend to the current spend. And we were able to get that spend to like a 4, 5, 6, up to 7x ROI because those people are just retargeting, like those audiences that we're going after are purely retargeting audiences, right? And so the intent is very high. And so the ROI is also going to be very high. So we plan on getting an extra $1 million at least probably from just adding these retargeting pools, which they're not really actively doing. And so one other thing here is that MER thoughts, right? What do I mean by MER? The MER is basically the percentage of spend dependent on the amount of revenue. So if your business makes $1 million and you spend $100,000 in marketing for the entire year, then your MER, your business ROAS, is 10x, right? You spend 100 grand and you made $1 million, right? In their example, it's the exact same proportion. They made around $10 million just online, right? And they only spent, I believe, around $1 million. Like if we put all the platforms combined, Google, Meta, and other like smaller platforms that they're advertising and are promoting, right? And so this is a huge red flag. Why is it a red flag? Some people may say, okay, your MER, your business ROAS is like super high. It means your business is super healthy. That is absolutely true. It's actually very, very healthy, but there's a problem that when the MER is too high, it means that you're not spending enough. So you should probably get that MER from like 10 to like 6 or 5, I would even say, depending on your margins. Still keep a very profitable business, right? Because their break even is probably around, like considering all like other like manufacturing costs and everything, is probably closer to like 2.5 or something like that, I would imagine. Typically that is like, considering that it's a bigger company, they perhaps have manufacturing facilities, they have I think like 40, 50, 60 employees, they have payroll, right? So I would imagine that it's around 2.5. If your 2.5 is a break even, or let's even say like 3x, a 5 or 6x MER business is really, really profitable, right? I don't think those are the exact numbers, so don't take my word for it. It could the break even could actually be lower, so closer to 2 or something like that. So this being said, we need to spend more, right? Where do we spend more? We spend more on social. Why do we spend more on social? Because we can create the biggest impact, the cheapest and biggest impact. Because when you spend more on social, even if you don't see the direct ROI on the platform, it's going to be a snowball effect for your email marketing, for your Google ads, for your retargeting audiences, for the regarding the this approach over here by building omnipresence. It's going to be a snowball effect for all the other channels, including word of mouth eventually, right? So social media this is why I love social media so much, and why I think it's one of the platforms where people should really invest in, even if they don't see like a huge ROI upfront or immediately, right? So this is what I plan to do, just spend more. make the margins a little more slim, but have the opportunity to like impact more people, sell more product, and potentially go from 10 to $20 million a year, okay? So this is what I see as an opportunity. Okay, so let's approach very quickly, how do we plan on going from $17,000 to $100,000 per month in spend, okay? So let me show you a chart. I go through this concept also in my other videos, but what we want to do is like focus on building a UGC network and having B-rolls filmed as much as possible. And this is kind of like the shift that we're going after in 2024. And so what we want to do is like work with like, of course, probably more than 5 if we want to scale, but maybe starting with 4 or 5, have them film a normal UGC video, but also have them film a lot of UGC content. I'm saying like between 10 and 20 UGC B-roll clips, right? B-roll is like footage, like me showing the product, me showing how to build the product. If it's a skincare product, me showing you like how to do my facial or like my skincare routine, etc., right? So we want footage so that we can put all these videos together and basically have a B-roll video folder that is mega huge with like 100, 200 B-roll footages and pieces of content, so that then we can create multiple B-roll variations and then of course scale with scripts, right? Scripts is going to be the vertical, or I guess horizontal way of scaling, right? You have one variation of video and then you test it with different scripts. But also you don't limit yourself to just testing different scripts. You also test different B-roll combinations. And the idea is that we have so much B-roll that we can pretty much come up with a strategy that we can test any script, because we can test so many different scenes. We have, you know, the scene where there's the unboxing. We have a scene where they're trying their clothing. We have the scene where they have a picture or a video showing their clothing on a mirror or with a light or whatever. So we can basically create whatever we want. And so slowly, gradually, we're starting to shift this strategy with all of our clients, because it's also much cheaper, right? If you just pay for a UGC person to do like 3 videos, they're gonna charge you like $400, right? So on the other side, if we have them do 1 video and then ask them to do, okay, for an extra $50, film us 10 to 15 5-second clips on, and while you do these, you know, 5 to 10 things, it's also like very easy for them to do, because it's literally just filming some footage. It's not like acting, scripting, editing, and cutting. And so it's like high leverage for us, and it's like low time consumption for them. So it's like pretty fast for them to do. So this is a great strategy also to cut UGC and creative costs by like 5 to 10x, I would say. So this is a good strategy. Now this is just video, right? UGC and video ad scaling strategy. Since this company is also very, what's important for this company and what really works well for this company is making sure that people see the perceived value, because it's kind of like a high-end luxury cool product. And so what really works well for them is doing image ads. It really works well. And so I wouldn't be surprised as like we end up having around 30 to 40%, maybe even 50% of our ads are just image ads. And so what we want to do here is basically start with an infrastructure where we start creating us versus them images. So like comparing competitors, like an example is like you have a creative, you split, you put a line in the middle, and then you have us, which is the product and the features and the benefits, versus them, which is like maybe their best competitor. Review ads, features and benefits, before and afters, like there's many more. And then we create multiple variations. What is a variation, for example? Well, if we want to do like a benefits, maybe version 1 is like X benefits, and version 2 is like another 5 to 10 benefits. Before and after, different before and afters, or reviews. Different reviews, right? Maybe one review ad is going to work a lot better than others. So like this is how we're going to scale horizontally and come up with a library. How do you do this? Now we came across this tool called Creative OS. We actually started using it. We're starting to use it a lot more also because shout out to Caleb, one of our clients. He basically also was like, why don't you use Creative OS? And I was like, we tested it, but we're actually, if I think about it, we should probably use it more. And so we started really using Creative OS a lot more. What is Creative OS? Let me show you. Give me 1 second. So here's Creative OS. Creative OS is an absolutely cool platform where if you actually upgrade, this is like one of our accounts. I'm not sure if we didn't upgrade, or we should probably upgrade. You get access also to static ads, but also landers, so landing pages, and also email templates if you will basically upgrade, which we will probably do. But this is like their main account is like $50 a month. But this is absolutely great because what you get access to is like all types of images. So holidays, comparisons, media PR, a collage, testimonial ads. So you can basically click the type of ads and it will bring you to basically the ads. And I think there's like 800 to 1,000 different types of ads, which is absolutely amazing, right? But the absolute crazy feature about this is that you can just copy the Figma template. I basically just copy the Figma template. So what I can do is go in Figma, do Command P, Command Paste, whatever, paste it, and I will see the creative, and then another version of the creative, but like split into templates that you can replace. Same thing with Canva. Let me just show you an example. So if I want to change, let's just do this creative, I can just click Canva, and it will bring me into Canva. I just have to click use template for new design. And as you can see, here's the creative. And then here's the variation of the creative that you can actually just edit completely. Like you can edit whatever you want. Now it's loading. My Wi-Fi kind of sucks, so bear with me. But when it loads, it should look like something like this, but that you can just replace. So this is absolutely great. It saves you a lot of time. So I just wanted to show you this. So this is going to be our approach. This is going to be sorry if I'm lagging a little bit. Maybe it's my Wi-Fi, but this is going to be our approach from the ads perspective when it comes to images and scaling UGC. And this is going to be the approach, once again, that's going to get us from $17,000 per month that they're spending right now up to $100,000 in spend, okay? Now, let's go over the omnipresent strategy. And this is really important because like right now, I think they're doing Meta, they're doing email, and they're doing Google, and maybe they're doing some SMS. I'm actually not too sure. I have to double check. But the idea is that we add other platforms so that we make it impossible for the customer to basically get rid of us, right? And of course that we want to do it in an ethical way. If they opt out of the email, they're just going to be opted out. But if they opt out of the email, maybe, probably we're going to retarget them through Google, through Pinterest, through SMS, Snapchat, TikTok, Meta, Bing. And these are just some examples. There's probably also other platforms that I cannot, think of right now. But these are like the principal platforms. And so if we can spend like, I did an approximation. So if we end up spending $100,000 in total, we can probably, or probably combined with Google and Meta, we should be able to spend $150,000. I'm considering an extra 20 to 25K in just retargeting budgets, like purely omnipresent retargeting on other types of platforms and not just Meta, right? Just other platforms. And so that alone, we already have a case study where we got like a 5 or 7x return on like TikTok. And so we want to implement a similar strategy for them and see if it works for them as well. I think it's going to work because it's just really, really warm retargeting traffic. And I believe they have over 1 million visitors, 1.2, I think it's 1.3 million visitors a year. And so like there's a lot to do. Okay, and so this is kind of the approach and the scheme that we want to create. Make sure that the customer just cannot go outside of our sales journey, and if they do, we get them back through one of these platforms to get them back into the funnel so that they can eventually convert. Okay, so this is the idea of omnipresence. Okay, a lot of companies, believe it or not, don't actually do this. And it's, if you're already spending $10, $15, $20,000 a month, you should start doing this strategy because it's going to allow you to probably add an extra 10% of revenue or so. I'm not even joking, or more if you do it well. Okay, so this is the strategy for omnipresence that I wanted to go over. Now, very quickly, I want to kind of compare in terms of expectation the current situation and the future situation that we plan on being in. Okay, so this is the current situation. As I told you, 2 million from email. That's around 20% of revenue. Meta attributed revenue is 500K. Google attributed revenue is 5.5 million. They're getting quite a good ROI there. They're doing quite well. And then organic is 2 million. And once again, bear with me. These are probably not the exact numbers, but it's a good understanding of the business. Okay. And the future situation is that revenue from email is going to go to 5 million. Mostly because we're going to scale. First of all, optimize your email flows, campaigns. That's a given. We're going to make it about 1,000 times better. There's so much opportunity, but it's going to also increase by over double because we are going to spend a lot more on Meta. And so the Meta attributed revenue, if we spend 100,000, assuming we're getting around a 2x, right? That's going to equate to around $2.5 million a year. Google attributed revenue, even if we're not like scaling drastically Google because it can be really hard, we still added 2 million. Why? Mainly because Google is a search-based platform, meaning that if you have 10,000 search terms every month, you can't just hope to have 20,000 the next month. You're just gonna have 10,000, okay? So there's a cap in the demand that you can attract, right? So if we increase Meta, which is social, interrupt-based marketing, where we create additional demand, then we're able to get that additional demand and have Google convert it as well. So typically, like every single time, whenever we scale social media ads, Google automatically scales with it, right? And the proportions tend to stick in the same situation. So if we scale by 50%, typically we can expect to scale like by 20, 30, 40, 50% also on Google. And so I add an extra 2 million just because we're spending way more on Meta advertising and getting a lot more revenue and a lot more visitors. So this is the reason why Google went up as well. Okay, and then organic search is going to go to like 2.5 million just to be conservative. Why? Well, if we're spending more, automatically we're just gonna have more word of mouth, more organic foundation. This could potentially go even to 3 if I'm being honest, because when we're spending a lot more, once again, we're just getting way more volume. But I just kept it a little more conservative, 2.5 million, so an extra 500,000 in organic revenue, which is very reasonable, I think. And then omni-channel revenue, 1.5 million. How did I calculate this 1.5 million? Well, if we assume these two ad spends, this is gonna be around I believe it was $150,000 a month or something like that, if we, or more, like $170,000 a month if we combine both Google and Meta. And of course, like the Google ROAS is like way higher than Meta. But so like assuming it's close to 170K a month, we shouldn't have a problem on adding an extra $25,000 to $30,000 a month just in omnipresence. And of course, assuming we get like very high ROI because the intent is already high, like 5x. Let me just do a calculation. So 30,000 per month in spend times 12 times 5x return, that's like 1.8 million already. So I just said conservatively an additional 1.5 million. And so this brought us to 19 million, so close to 20 million. And this is kind of the plan. And I think it's very reasonable. Of course, the hard thing is going to go from 17,000 to $100,000 in Meta. But I think it's very doable because they're not doing as much as they should from a creative perspective. And at the same time here, once again, we want to go from 20% to 30%, which is why we're going to attribute $5 million in email marketing revenue on a yearly basis, which I think is very doable. Okay, so this is kind of my plan for the future of this company. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you kind of saw and understood my thought process when it comes to auditing a business and going through it and analyzing the numbers. I hope it was valuable. Give me other suggestions for other videos, and nothing. Also, comment below. And there's a lot of alsos in this end of the video. But I wanted to mention, if you are interested in working with us, we have free slots open for free audits. So if you qualify, which we will understand from the application that you fill up, we can just audit your business for free. And then of course, if there's synergy and there's an actual opportunity, and if we have slots available, because we only work with 12 to 15 brands at the same time because of our limited capacity, then we can explore maybe an opportunity to work together, partner up, and go from there. We also have a $50 a month community where you basically get access to my time and a bunch of resources also like this, and more in depth. And if you want to join, the link is in the description, and I hope to see you on the other side.